It's a pretty good day here today because I have finally finished installing our universal wall connector. Now we have a standard wall connector and the difference between these two is about $120 if I remember right. But what does that get you? Well, this wall connector gets you obviously the standard Tesla connector, the NACS connector right here. This is all that it can do. It can only charge a Tesla, or I suppose it could charge a non-Tesla with an adapter. Tesla did also make this with a J1772 plug on it for some time. So it was basically one or the other, but now that has all changed. Rather than offering one or the other, you can either get just the NACS connector or you can get a universal connector for 120 more and be able to do both, all integrated in the unit. No adapters are needed. This unit itself will charge both a Tesla and a non-Tesla without any additional adapters. It's actually pretty cool. So if you know what the Magic Dock is, it's basically the same thing. It's just in a miniature scale. It's pretty cool. So I'm going to show you number one, how this works, how well it works, and then I'll show you how to install this unit as well. So before I installed this unit right here, I actually had a really nice Autel charger right here. It was direct wired to the panel. So the good thing for me is everything was already wired up. Everything was ready to go. All I had to do was remove the old charger and install this one right here with the existing wiring in place. So there is a pretty straightforward, easy setup here to do this. Of course, hire an electrician if you are not familiar with electricity. Actually, just hire an electrician. Don't do this yourself. But this unit itself, is it worth the extra 120 bucks? And for the next 5 years, I say it absolutely is, because although most manufacturers are finally getting on board with the benefits of NACS and everybody's going to have this terminal directly on their car at some point, for now, that is not the case. Even the ones that have committed, they're still shipping cars with the J1772 or the CCS plug on their cars. So this won't actually work for non-Teslas today. This one over here, this one will do everybody's car all right here, nice and neat. If you have followed our channel for any bit of time, you know that I like to travel a lot in my Model Y, and most of the time when I'm going long distance, I actually like to sleep in the car. One of the things that makes that possible, and certainly more economical, is having a fridge. This thing is quite a bit bigger. It's 35 liters, and even the Model 3 version is 20 liters. Now that's good for 48 cans or about 29 bottles. In about 30 minutes, this thing will go down from ambient temperature to -4. So it cools off really fast. And even though it's large, it doesn't mean it's a huge power consumer. It actually is super efficient and even has an efficiency mode. You're gonna look at about 45 watts of consumption, and throughout an entire day, that's about 1%. So don't worry about it cutting your range in half or anything. It's actually not even going to be noticeable, but it does allow you the flexibility of bringing snacks and drinks along with you on your road trip. Now it does have Bluetooth, which allows you to control this thing remotely from your phone when you're in range. So right now, code BTG is going to save you 20% on wheel covers and the yoke steering wheel options, and code BTG30 is going to get you 30% off of the refrigerator. Now also 10 orders of the refrigerator are going to come with the Cyber Spoon, which is an exclusive only in China. So that's a pretty cool prize to possibly win with the refrigerator. So if you're headed out on a road trip soon, or you like to travel a lot in your Model Y or your Model 3, be sure to check this thing out and see if it's right for you. All right, so opening the box here, we can see that the wall connector here is much thicker, much larger. And here on the back, if we pull the back plate off, that's where the accessories are going to be. And we can see the part you're going to mount to the wall. There are 3 places that you're going to connect the wires. You're going to have a hot wire, you're going to have a ground, and this is going to power up this entire unit right here. Now, this is set up so that you can bring the wires in from the bottom, you can bring them in from the back, or you can bring them in from the top. So whether it's wall mounted and the wires come from the wall, or exterior wall, that accommodates both. Here are your accessories, and I want to point out one little thing in this little bag here, and it is this little thing here. This is a special end unit that is going to be needed to be able to attach to the bolts that hold in the faceplate. Don't lose this. As we pull the unit out of the box here, that will expose what's on the inside, which is our cable, of course. This cable is just like the other cable on the normal wall connector. And we can see right here, this is the template you're going to use to mount, whether you mount on the left, the middle, or the right hand corner. This is going to allow you to place this piece of cardboard up against the wall, and that's how you'll mark your holes to drill. It makes it super easy to install this because you can find the stud, put this piece of cardboard up there, and mark your holes. Of course, there's the installation guide here, which has all your instructions, as well as how to connect to this thing once it's installed. The instructions are pretty straightforward, but if you don't want to go through that, of course, you can just watch this video as I install it myself. So there are a few tools you're going to need. You're going to need a 1 1/8 inch drill bit, a 1 3/8 inch drill bit. It would be nice to have some wire cutters, level, a drill, and you are going to need a torque driver, a 3/32 drill bit, a 3/16 drill bit, a screwdriver. Now these drill bits for the 1 1/8 inch and 1 3/8 inch is just to cut the opening on the back of the mounting plate. So if you're going to be bringing the wires in from exterior, you actually won't need these. Now this is where the magic happens. This is the magic dock here, and this is not going to actuate, as you can see here, until it has power. So that thing is just going to sit in there until it is powered up, and then you'll be able to actually push down on this little button here and it will come out with the handle itself. So first things first, find your stud, and once you do that, you're going to be able to mark out where you need these holes. Now in my case, I'm going to center mount this. So the center holes are what I'm going to use on this mounting plate. So I'm going to line up. I've already drawn a line with a level of where that stud is, and I'm going to mark my 2 holes right here. So we can see here, there are the 3 holes that you will have to drill out depending on which way you mount this. A center mount like I am is that center one we're going to drill out, and if you do left or right, it is right there next to it. In my case, I'm going to come in from the bottom. I'm going to bring the wires up through the bottom, wrap them around the top and down into where these wires are going to connect. This 3/16 drill bit is going to be used to make the hole in the back plate here. Pretty easy. It is not for the wall, however, so that is a different size. Don't make that mistake. It's just for the back plate. So as you can see, I've drilled out the back plate with the 3/16, and now I have my holes exposed where the bolt's going to go through. Next, we're actually going to need a 3/32 drill, and that is what we're going to drill our pilot holes in the wall. So go ahead and drill these in. Make sure that you get these pilot holes started. Do not do this without drilling pilot holes. You will split wood, and that's never a good thing. Now's the great part of actually mounting this thing, and I always start with a screwdriver just to be safe rather than hitting it with the drill right away, just to make sure that I get a good grab on these bolts before I bring in the power tools. And go back and forth, do it evenly, and you'll get this thing nice and tight against the wall. Next, it comes with this little zip tie. Get this thing started. There's a little tab in here where you can put this in. That is actually going to help secure the wires tight on the inside. It's another safety piece. Here on the bottom, we're going to open this cap up. That's where my wires are coming through. Okay, so this is a torque driver, and this is going to be set to 50 inch-pounds. So I'm going to make that adjustment here. This is an important step that gets us ready for mounting the actual wires into their sockets here. So 50 inch-pounds is the setting, and it goes in this orientation: black on the right, red in the middle, and green on the left. Now, it doesn't matter what color your wires actually are, but just know that that's how they go. So in my case, the red is actually represented by a white wire. So I have marked on my wires, you can see here, red. That is supposed to be red, so that one will definitely go in the middle. Our black all the way on the right, and our ground all the way on the left. Start with the ground, get that started. You can go ahead and actually torque this if you want from the very beginning. I only used the torque driver when I installed it, so even from the very beginning, I knew I was already at 50 inch-pounds. And then finally bring your last wire in and secure that in place. Go back over all of these, make sure you get that solid click at 50 inch-pounds. And then go ahead and secure your zip tie, keeping those wires nice and secure on the inside. Okay, now one very important step, and this is not included in the kit. If you are bringing the wires into the box from an exterior position. So like I am, I'm coming to the bottom instead of through the wall. You need a cable gland, and it's called a few different things, but it's a cable gland. You need to get one of these from the hardware store or Amazon before you do this. This is definitely required, and this is a safety thing. This is going to help secure the wires in there so that they can't be yanked out on accident and cause a major issue. So make sure you get this cable gland. They are super cheap. They are not expensive at all. That is something that is definitely required to make this safe. This is kind of the best part of this, and that is when you install the wall connector, it's literally just like this, and Tesla did such a good job. This whole part of the unit, it just snaps in place, and it's pretty awesome that it does that. It's secured by 4 little bolts, and that's where this special little head comes from. That is what you're going to use to secure those. Now, when you put these on, you're gonna have to push around on the wall connector because it can be kind of tricky to line up just right, but put some pressure on the face of the unit to get these in. I'm gonna go ahead now and turn on the breaker and see if our lights come on right. We'll see a green light indicating that there's power, and then it's gonna go through a startup sequence. And basically what it's doing is it's figuring out what kind of a breaker it's set up to, because it's automatically gonna set some presets on here, including how much power it's going to allow to go to the vehicle. So here it is next to the standard wall connector, and you can see it is certainly a bit thicker and sticks out quite a bit, but the height top to bottom is the same. It looks exactly the same from the face. It just sticks out of the wall a bit more to accommodate that J1772 adapter. This is where the magic happens. So when you just pull on the connector, this is all that comes out. Just the Tesla charger, the NACS connector is all that comes out. And to bring the J1772 out with it, you just press this button and it releases and comes out nice. And this is really cool. So again, just pull on the regular cable and you get just the NACS connector, press the button and you get the J1772 adapter already on the unit. This is really cool. And just so you know, you can actually put a J1772 adapter onto the J1772 adapter and it will work on your Tesla. Obviously, don't do this. It's pointless to do that, but it does work. Kind of fun. So here's the unit itself. It is directly wired into the panel with a 60 amp breaker, meaning this will put out 48 amps of charge. And the nice thing about that is that means it will max charge on a Tesla. So Tesla's onboard chargers are 48 amps. That is the max charge that they can accept. This will put out that max 48 amps. Now, non-Teslas, there are some that will do more than 48 amps on a level 2 charger. This will not do more than 48 amps of charge, but that is super fast anyway. So the difference here, these both can charge at the same speed. However, this one I have set to 32 amps max. This one at 48. So the way that I have this configured in my home, I will not get more than 32 amps out of this charger, and I won't get more than 48 amps out of this one. So depending on how quickly I need to recharge, I can use either or. It doesn't really matter. Just one of them will charge faster than the other. So I'm going to show you the speed of both, because if you're using a mobile connector with a 1450 adapter, this is the speed you're going to get. This is going to be the speed you're going to get if you're hardwired into the wall at maximum breaker to be able to get 48 amps. So that'll show you the speed of this compared to if you're just using a mobile connector with a 1450 outlet. Okay, so here's the good stuff right here. This is really the difference. So over here on the original wall connector, we just have the one plug, and the same is the case for the 1772. But over here, we have, of course, the NACS connector right here, and you can see right here something going on. So when I pull this out, I just get the Tesla charger, the NACS connector right here. But if I have a friend over, or we have a J1772 enabled car, I just press this magic button right here, and then I have the 1772 integrated into the charger. So this is pretty slick, pretty sweet. I can charge both Tesla and non-Tesla right here without having to carry around adapters. Remember adapters, if I have family traveling that has a 1772 car, this will work for them without problem. All right, so the next thing we're gonna do, I'm gonna plug both of these in to show you the difference in charging speed. I'm gonna start with the 32 amp setup that I have to give you the kind of that baseline, and then I'll show you what will happen if you go with 48 amps of flow or a 60 amp breaker. So first, let's get our standard wall connector here plugged in. All right, so it is starting to charge up here. We are sitting at 26, 28, 30, and there's 32. Now understand, I have a brand new house. Voltage is really good here. So I get closer to the full 8 kilowatts at 32, and I'll get closer to 12 kilowatts at 48. But so my charging speed is really good is my point. So anyways, 8 kilowatts. Now, if I change this over to miles per hour, which is an easier way to think about just the charging, that's 30 miles per hour of charge here in my Model Y. So if I switch this over, let's see what kind of speed we get on the other charger. So rather than 2 hours and 5 minutes, we can already see we're down to 1 hour and 25 minutes. So 30 minutes faster, or about 25% faster charging speed. And as we start to ramp up to 48 amps, you'll be able to see our max charging rate as a miles per hour rating. So at 48 amps, we are getting 45 miles per hour of charge. And in kilowatt charge rate, we are talking 12 kilowatts. So it's a really good charging speed, and it'll get you back on the road much quicker. Now, if you don't need to be back on the road this quickly, which is most everybody, then the 32 amps is fine, but this gives you the flexibility that allows you to charge both a Tesla and a non-Tesla. So it legitimately just comes down to, do you have a use case for a J1772 and a NACS connector? So do you have a Tesla and a non-Tesla? Do you have family that drive a non-Tesla? This gives you the ability to do both. Also, if you don't have a Tesla, this might be a really good way to future-proof. It's about $595, if I remember right, for this. And in my opinion, it is absolutely worth it. It's not any faster a charger than the normal wall connector, but it gives you that flexibility all built in, and it's all integrated nicely. Something that Tesla has always done a really good job with is integrating things nicely, like their app. So this is just another example of that, and I think it's well worth it. So you tell me, do you think it's worth it? Are you planning on getting one? So that's it for us today. I appreciate you stopping by. Can't wait to catch you on the next one.